Welcome in, my friends, to another 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. Here we are, middle of October. So today I want to talk about the employee that I think is extremely underrated and underlooked at. This employee can act as a gatekeeper. They can act as the first impression. They can also be responsible for some really important things in our dealership. So think about it. Who is that, you know? It's not a salesman, right? Salesmen shouldn't be gatekeepers. Could be a manager, I suppose, but it's not. It is your receptionist. Ladies and gentlemen, receptionists are so important. And to that end, I mean answering the phone and getting it where it needs to go and having that come with some energy, with some accuracy. There's also an issue that I'm running into a lot now with the, like, basically if you have call recording, right? So you have like your introduction about it will be recorded, and then the person picks up the phone and makes the same introduction minus the call recording, right? So there's some redundancy there. Again, I'm a details guy, so I find that to not be a great flow for what you're trying to do. So I would say to you that it's important that you're listening to phone calls, which I know can be difficult. Trust me, I had to have a couple cocktails in order to even sit and contemplate the idea. But that speaks to a larger issue, which I'm not going to get into today, which is, if it is so bad, why aren't we doing something about it? But the receptionist. Recently, I've had a couple of situations. One, I called my accountant, who I love and adore, great Irish woman, was hoping to get her on the horn, talked to her about a few things, called the office and got a very muddled introduction as to where I was calling, which was followed by me saying, yeah, hi, I'm looking to talk to Tracy, which was met with that silence, okay? Yeah, that was the next word out of this young lady's mouth. Yeah, is she in? I don't know, I'll have to check. Okay, great. Can I talk to her? Yeah, if she's available. Okay. This was fun. So it turns out she sends me on to Tracy's desk. Tracy speaks on the phone. Hi, how are you? By the way, did you have an interaction with my receptionist? I did. Big collective sigh, because it is not her receptionist. She works for a company. It is the company's front end. It is the whoever $10 an hour person they paid. And I get why people tend to minimize the position, but I'll say the same thing about a hostess at a restaurant, man. These individuals hold way more responsibility than I think anyone gives them credit for or trains them up to have, because that's front of the house. That's important business that we're talking about, okay? I also have a doctor's office that I frequent that the receptionist at the front desk is, it's a rotation situation. There is a nice young lady and a not so nice lady as well. And so you walk up to the desk and immediately you know which is which, right? And so you're prepared for it. I feel like I should say something, but I don't. Because at the end of the day, as my wife points out, I can't run everyone's business for them. And sometimes when you make a critique, such as, hey, by the way, did you know your receptionist is really bad at her job? That is met with personal reaction, because in most cases, small businesses, the individual that I'm speaking with or dealing with probably had some influence on said hire. So now you've insulted them, which is not my point, but it is very important that you understand that the receptionist is that important. They're so important. So in the car business, receptionists, right, back in the old days, I'll call them, late 90s, when cell phones weren't a thing, or at least as prevalent as they are now as far as customer communication. Dealerships did not allow anything but their phones, your phones, recorded phones, etc. You would get your lady or your mom calling the front desk. That receptionist would get that over a few times, probably say something to the GM. The GM would probably say, just tell them right off the bat, not available. Think about that. Think about receptionists having the power to keep salespeople focused. If your receptionist could tell you to stop being on your phone, would you listen? Back then you didn't have a choice. You had to listen. In the car business, receptionists are something that are about as valuable as the person taking the sales call once it gets transferred. Now, recently we've had a client who we were looking over all of their data, right? Everything from front to back, because that's what we do for everyone. And when we did that, we kept coming up with this weird anomaly on phone calls. So, man, we are showing phone calls. BDC, we're not showing phone calls. Dealer, we're not showing phone calls. Man, now look, recently some vendors out there, you know who you are, you have an issue with spam political phone calls infiltrating your data. I've seen it. Again, you know who you are. I know you know how to fix it, and I go fix it. But when we see a bunch of phone calls and you don't see any, the question is raised why and how. So we decide to have a mystery shop done on the dealership. Mystery shop calls in looking for sales. Gets forwarded to an old inactive voicemail. Now, I know that sounds like, oh, well, they'll call you again. No, they won't. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. I don't need to take that chance. Why am I not getting sales calls, right? So then the training happens. After the GM listened to phone calls, which, by the way, he and the owner both did, and they both agreed it was nauseating. Bigger issue. We need to train to it. But anyways, to the phones. Give the receptionist a little, here's what we expect. Here's how you do this. Yeah. I know. 1 hour later, receptionist forward sales call to inactive voicemail. 1 hour after that, receptionist is fired. Now, I know that seems harsh. It's not. It's probably a week too late. A month too late. Inspect your front end. And that is one of the, it's like salespeople. You listen to salespeople's phone calls, but what happens before that? How about how the interaction is getting to them? What does that sound like? Is it welcoming? I know it sounds like I'm being nitpicky, but the impact of a great first impression is priceless, right? You can't replace it. You can't go back and do it again. So I challenge you to go and make sure that your receptionists are trained. And if you guys are putting multiple jobs in your receptionist because you don't feel like you can justify it for your dealership, etc., make sure those jobs can be done at any point throughout the day and be done sporadically and don't have to be done specifically. Because answering the phone is of the utmost importance and should happen as immediate as possible. So go back in, take a look around, tell me if you think I'm right, or if I'm wrong. I want to hear both sides. But either way, pay attention to the front end. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you again next week.